I think it's just the panic in the markets right now in regards to the coronavirus and how that is influencing everyday life, and it's just cutting through the whole world economy. There's about a 40% of loans or so there are in dollar across the world, even though U.S. economy doesn't make up 40% of the world economy. So there's a lot of emerging market economies that are very, very dependent on the dollar, and now when it's soaring, it's hurting them even more, the emerging markets. And obviously, all the central banks have now gone together to provide the liquidity needed. So hopefully that's going to be enough, because it has worked in the past, and hopefully as they continue to push liquidity into the market, this is going to be enough to stabilize. But we are seeing an outright panic, like even some corporations and stock markets, for example, they're just trading lower and lower and lower. And I start to think that it's more people are just selling to reduce the risk. And as soon as the coronavirus starts to stabilize, which I think it will do, then we'll probably have some sort of a bounce. But right now we're in just pure panic in the market, and that's why it's so important that the central banks are pumping liquidity to stabilize things. That's a very good question. So I think what happened over the last few years, remember that the interest rates in the EU have been very low for a very long time. So I think what happened is that a lot of people borrowed in euros, and then they would invest this overseas, and also overseas investors would borrow in euros and invest that in dollar markets. Remember, just a few months ago, everybody wanted to buy Apple, everybody wanted to buy Netflix and Tesla and so on and so on. So they were using cheap euros to fund this. But now when the volatility is so high, people want to rush back and hedge those euro positions. In the case of the pound, it wasn't like that. The pound, the interest rate was never very low, so it never became like a funding currency. Also, we have a hard Brexit that could still play out by the end of this year. Remember that the government has made it into law that they're going to leave properly, with or without any trade deal, by the end of the year. So that is going to kick in. And now, because Prime Ministers of the PM Johnson is focusing on domestic issues with the coronavirus, and as well all of the EU is having its own problems with the coronavirus, I don't think there is some proper negotiations happening at the highest level, which is needed. And we're just a few months away now from the end of the year. So from a negotiation perspective, it doesn't look very good. And I think that's the second reason why the pound is down so much more compared with the euro.